if there was a Game of Thrones character who would do the best ASMR channel, who would it be? I'll go first. Hodor.
Hodor.
Oh man,
Varys would be good.
whisper secrets.
I mean, Littlefinger's got the actual whisper voice.
Yeah. I can't do a shitty Irish accent.
It changes a lot too.
It really does.
Yeah.
I kind of want to listen to a clip.
Go back
from
and watch
season 1 versus 6.
And it's he doesn't do it at all.
I should, yeah. Because I remember it feels like it was like when season 3 started. I was like, oh, are you doing? Is this a bit? Like, what is happening?
Did you get throat cancer in between
that
seasons?
Guy definitely, he's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
and he does the same thing.
Yeah,
like he's a sleazy producer in Bohemian Rhapsody.
But it's the same thing. The
dad in Sing Street is a douche.
He's at the beginning of Dark Knight Rises.
Oh yeah,
but he doesn't do the whisper thing.
He's in Maze Runner. He's in something like brand new that's pretty popular. I think
he was in the Xbox One exclusive hit Quantum Break.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Xbox One exclusives.
Oh, that was really good.
Welcome to the Rewatchers on the Wall, presented by Xbox One exclusives.
Oh, the worst. Possibly the worst sponsor we could have gotten.
Tyler, you can't say that.
Dude,
I'm sorry.
We're trying to get in with Phil Spencer. Like,
all 3 of those games care about us.
Winter is coming.
Where are my dragons?
In the Game of Thrones, you either win or you die.
The things I do for love.
A Lannister always pays his debts.
Chaos is a ladder.
Hodor.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
We
are the Rewatchers on the Wall.
I don't plan on knitting by the fire while men fight for me. I might be small Lloyd. I might be small Lloyd Glover, and I might be a girl, but I am every bit as much as a northern as you. Fuck. And I don't need your permission to defend the North. All right, that was tougher than I thought.
Yeah,
man,
it felt good in my head.
When you started, I was like, dude, Tommen's dead. What are you doing?
It's hard for me to get down to 10-year-old girl status.
Yeah, no, that's hard.
It should be.
We know what Mitchell's Tinder preferences are set to.
Oh my gosh.
You have to be 13, thank you very much.
I think you have to be 17, right?
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I don't know. I haven't been on Tinder in a long time.
It's a dark place.
It made me sad, so I stopped. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Hey, also, but guess what? We're talking about Game of Thrones Season 7.
Oh, is that what? Okay.
Episodes
Okay, yeah,
1 through 3.
Yeah.
Tyler, would you tell us what happens in Game of Thrones Season 7? The
The
penultimate season. Episodes 1 through 3. Go.
Walder Frey proposes a toast. Psych, it's Arya, bitch, and she is back. Bran arrives at the wall. Jon attempts to start the Great Dragon Glass Rush of 1849. Sansa calls Jon out in front of everyone. He makes the Karstarks and the Umber swear loyalty again. Cersei commands Jon to bend the knee. Jaime wants to talk to Cersei about Tommen. Euron decides Cersei will be a good enough wife for him. Makes sure to point out that he has 2 good hands, then leaves, promising to return with a dowry fit for a queen. Sam is in deep shit. Then he tries to get permission to go to the restricted section of the library, but the Archmaester believes the wall will always stand, so Sam just steals some keys. Tormund is in deep smit with Brienne. Littlefinger are hard at work at Sansa again. Arya attends Ed Sheeran's secret show and then hangs out with the guys. Beric and the Dondarrions hole up in a house familiar to the Hound. The Hound sees the vision in the fire. Sam studies a lot and then meets the stony arm of Jorah Mormont. Dany comes home. Dany questions Varys' loyalty and then they become best friends. Melisandre tells Dany that she needs Jon Snow. Davos and Sansa counsel Jon. Jaime makes Daddy Tarly commander of the army. Jorah only has 6 months before he becomes a monster. Sam thinks there's a cure. Qyburn has the blacksmiths in King's Landing working on a really big anti-dragon guns. Dany is sending the Unsullied to take Casterly Rock, but Sandy and Grey Worm finally do it. Sam decides to perform a 2 dangerous procedure on Jorah. Arya sees Hot Pie again and learns that Jon is king in the north. Jon is going to meet with Dany because Sam told him that there is a ton of dragonglass and dragonstone, and he is putting Sansa in charge while he's gone. Littlefinger visits Jon in the crypts, and Jon gives him a stern warning. Euron attacks the Greyjoys and the Sand Snakes. He kills 2 of the Sand Snakes and takes Ellaria captive. Then he takes Diarra captive, and Theon runs away. Jon and Tyrion are reunited. Varys pries into Melisandre's life, and she turns the tables on him, just like the other Red Priestess did. Dany wants Jon to bend the knee, but he will not. Davos is the best, period. But he isn't the best hype man. Jon tries to convince Dany the army of the dead is real, but gets interrupted by the news that the Greyjoys were attacked. Theon is pulled onto a ship. The Sand Snakes and Yara arrive in King's Landing. Cersei says that she will marry Euron when the war is won. Cersei eye for an eye Zalaria. Cersei and Jaime do it, and she isn't trying to hide it anymore. Jon tells Tyrion he's there for Dragonglass. Tyrion tries to convince Dany to help Jon. Dany tells Jon he can mine for Dragonglass. Sansa is reunited with her robot brother Bran. Jorah is cured. The Archmaester is impressed with Sam, but makes him copy lines anyways. The Unsullied use a weakness in Castle Rock to take it with no problem, but most of the Lannister forces are not there. Then Euron shows up and starts burning their ships. The rest of the Lannisters are at Highgarden. Jaime and Olenna talk, and he gives her poison to drink. She confesses to killing Joffrey, and he leaves her to die.
Reunited and it feels so good. Yeah, we had a lot of good going on.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happens very quickly. I'm gonna get it out of the way at the top. We've talked about it a couple times. We've talked about the travel thing, but it's literally like, hey, I'm gonna go to this place. Cut to a scene of someone else. Hey, I'm at this place. Like, it is.
You ain't
super
seen
apparent.
shit yet.
Also, Euron,
Dude, fuck you. Okay, yeah, let's get this out of the way.
he's got quantum boats or something.
I hate everything about this character. Like, he breaks the show for me almost. Anytime he's on screen, I'm like, apparently I'm not watching Game of Thrones. Apparently I'm watching, like, some cheap knockoff of Sons of Anarchy, which is bullshit.
That's
Like, he's got...
not an unfair criticism.
I have a lot of problems with just, like, technical stuff of this season. I have the problem with the makeup. The makeup is back to season 1 suckery. The costuming. Holy shit.
Everyone's in black.
I didn't know I was watching, like, Power Rangers.
It's very ornate,
Like,
though.
yeah.
But the costuming's massively amplified.
It is, but it's boring.
Really? I like it.
Oh, I feel like...
I just think it's. that's the thing. I was like, oh, black.
Like,
Everyone's
Jaime's
wearing
armor
black.
looks... I like Cersei's the one wearing black. She looks good.
Cersei's wearing black. Danny's wearing black.
Yeah.
Sansa's wearing black.
Jon's
Jon's wearing black.
Tyrion's wearing black.
Yeah, Tyrion's wearing, like, the same
A
shit.
lot of
is
people
wearing
dyed their
black.
mourning.
Well, that's the thing. They're wearing, like, the same outfits. They're just now black. And it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I honestly, it's not that big. I don't care that much about
costuming
it.
doesn't-
But it was a thing that I just noticed. That I was like, okay, that's a choice.
I guess, like, it's not like a make or break thing for me,
Yeah,
but I
no.
guess, like, it does bum me out because I'm like, this is, like, the second last season. Your budget is clearly much higher, and who the fuck did you hire for, like, makeup and costume? Like,
I didn't notice makeup other than Euron because he's found some serious guyliner shop somewhere in
serious.
Westeros.
Melisandre's makeup is awful. Varys's makes him look like he's 10 years older than he actually is.
Yeah, Varys.
He's
looks
aged.
weird
He's very
this-
sad.
this season.
Um,
Yeah. But anyways,
Look, the
That's
biggest
all
thing
very
is that
nitpicky,
this
but
season
yeah, I
feels.
totally-
it does feel different though.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to get that out of the way because it's like it's not as important
Right,
as the other
yeah.
stuff we'll talk
Yeah.
about. So
I'm on a face page with a lot of Game of Thrones fans, and a lot of people.
They don't sponsor us yet, so
I
we
was
can't say
shocked.
their full name on the podcast.
not like Xbox.
It's another. Oh yeah, presented by
Phil
Xbox 360.
I'm
Do you
Phil
still have one?
I'm cutting all this.
Are you really?
No.
Oh, I was like,
I make that
I'm never.
I'm never gonna.
I was like, I
follow through on
never
it.
know what you're actually going to cut. Anyway, I was shocked how many people think seasons 1 through 4 are so much better than 5 through 7. I understand where people's frustrations are with 5 and 7, but I think 6 is fantastic, and I think 5, obviously, even if you don't like the story or some of the things, like in ways the show got better. Like, I don't know. I didn't understand there's so many people who are like, no, I want this older version of the show, because guess what? When this show ended, maybe it's a better version of season 7, but it was always going to be a completely different show because the characters were going to converge, the set pieces were going to get bigger, the wars were going to happen, more fantasy stuff was going to be injected. So when people say that, I'm like, okay, well, like, and they're, it's not that they're out on the show, but their amount of criticism, like, now you're being too critical. Like, enjoy this amazing storytelling, because now you're just saying Game of Thrones set such a high bar that even if it came down 2 rungs, it's still better than 99% of what's on television or in the movies.
I think the big thing too is it's just now you have so many people watching the show, and there are always going to be people who are like, well, it's not that good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's like this elitist bullshit
Especially
around
people
it too,
who are like late to the party who have heard how great it is.
Yeah.
And, like, but they're assholes and start with like season
I was
6.
very worried.
like,
Why are you doing that? Yeah, I don't understand that.
I mean, I'm guilty of doing that with The Walking Dead. I was invited to go see Walking Dead with people. I was like, season 3, I don't know who any of these people are.
I mean,
but...
I'm going to make the brave statement. I don't think Walking Dead's as good a show. I
Oh.
just don't think it's a good show.
Whoa.
You're a brave man.
The sad thing is, there's probably people who would argue with you about that.
I'm sure there are.
That's fucking ridiculous.
I just don't walk in those circles because I'm above them. Just kidding. Speaking of elitists,
I had concerns that when you watched it, not that you'd be elitist, but that because it had been so hyped, and you have very eclectic but quality taste in entertainment, I was like, what if this just comes up short for Tyler and he just wants to shit on it? But you've never done that thing before, but I was worried it was going to happen with Game of Thrones.
Yeah, no, it's good. Anything that's genuinely good is safe from my criticism. I feel
Okay.
like.
Well, you don't like The Bachelor, but it's well-crafted TV. Okay.
Sorry, let me turn up your monitor a little bit. Anything that is genuinely good is safe from my criticism.
I think what season 7 is just so jarring.
Yeah.
Because even style-wise and like pacing is so fast.
Yeah, it's
Like-
fast. And honestly, it doesn't bother me. I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, sure, let's speed some stuff
Yeah.
up.
Yeah,
let's
that's
get
exactly
there, you know?
exactly how I felt.
And
when
there's
it
some
started.
unique things. We'll talk about like the editing in Sam's first scene when he's cleaning shit up, literally.
Oh, you mean when they basically recreated the trailer for A Serious Man?
Yeah.
That's honestly
that
what
really?
I thought about. Yeah, we'll have to
It's
watch
very
it.
similar,
All right.
yeah.
Go watch the trailer for A Serious
Let's
Man. It's a good-
And then
let's
go watch the series.
jump into. Do you guys have any other broad thoughts on how different the season is, or anything before we jump into some storylines?
No.
Anything, Riley? How did it feel? You enjoying it? How did you think about the? What did you think about the costumes? Did you notice? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It's because
somewhere
everyone's
that I
in the same
didn't.
color. Like
Yeah.
that's why it's
Maybe
so
it's because
obvious.
look, Danny gets a major costume change later, and that's exactly how she's fixed into my mind now. And then Jamie, I love his armor that he does.
That's been
that
like
he does.
that's been like the same for.
I feel like they amp it up. It's a little different here.
Oh yeah, but it's the same design. It's a little darker,
Yeah.
but it's pretty much the same. I think.
Because this costuming it stepped up for Cersei last season into like this black ornate.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't notice costuming apparently
Which-
that much.
Well, and I feel like also why I notice it is because there is like that stark change in season 6 that is so narratively driven.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this one, it just kind of, I don't know. It just felt, it's kind of, I'm the type of person I'm like, if costumes really stick out to me,
it's probably a bad.
It's
thing.
probably bad.
It's either really good or really bad.
Exactly. Yeah. So, anyways. But
All
I don't
right.
think it's really bad.
Let's just go chronologically. So Arya kills a bunch of Frey sluts. Leave one wolf alive, and the sheep are never safe. When people ask them what happened here, tell them the North remembers. Tell them winter came for House Frey, mother bitches.
Yeah, they're bitches.
What it? I mean, this is how we ended season 6.
Yeah.
And I mean, how did you feel coming right back to it when you saw Walder Frey? Were you like,
great.
did you know what was coming?
I didn't at first. I was like, okay, maybe we're starting because they've done that where it's like, okay, we're starting this season with a flashback,
Yeah.
which we've never done in the whole show. Now what are we gonna do? But like, about halfway through that, I was like, oh yeah, no, she can be anyone at this point, and so yeah, so I knew that it was.
Guys, she just
gonna be-
killed.
I'm so
And
excited.
after the sun pie last time, and this time the way she just kills everyone, it's so nice.
Yeah.
And she plays the part well because she tells the little wife, like, no, I'm not going to waste good wine on you, you little whore, or something.
Honestly, too, I actually went back and watched that first scene again. The guy he has a really good performance of like he's playing Walder Frey, but
Being Arya, being
is
Walder.
really good. There's like a lot of really subtle things in that performance that are really great and like really impressive. So I love that scene.
Hey, Phil's learned something at Hogwarts, even though he's a squib. Okay. So Arya leaves there, and where did you think she was headed right away?
I assumed King's Landing just because I'm like I feel like that's the entire
See,
crux
isn't
of her stuff.
it is, but it also is a dichotomy that, like, for first few seasons, you'd think she would be heading north to try and find family. Although she doesn't have a whole ton of faith that she has a lot of family left, or she'd be able to find them and actually reunite.
Right.
But it is interesting to me that her mindset changed from reuniting with the people that matter to her, even though when she finds out she does switch gears, to kill first.
Yeah. Well, I think the big thing too is in the first few seasons she's going north for the safety. Like she's going north to find John and to be somewhere safe. Because the South they're like actively searching for her, and now she doesn't need that really.
She
You
has
know what I
all the
mean?
confidence in the world right now.
Yeah,
We see a couple
for sure,
vulnerable moments from her, but she is not. She's just not scared of anything.
Yeah.
And I feel like every time she got close to family, they all got slaughtered, and so she probably was just like, "Well,
Also true.
I feel
Maybe
like they're
I-
all dead now." So I'm just
Well,
gonna-
I mean, like
She's a
she knew
bad omen.
Winterfell was no longer in the Stark's control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her Aunt Lysa's dead. So I don't know. That's what she did with the Hound, was trying to find her family, and didn't work out.
Yeah.
So now she's just like, I'm gonna go kill bitches.
I'm gonna go finish my list.
I mean, she did show some fear though at the Ed Sheeran concert.
She did. She was like, "Well, what if he doesn't play? What if he doesn't play my favorite song? Oh, you got a bit of rabbit and a bit of the raspberry one for me."
What is Arya's favorite Ed Sheeran song?
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's there's so many.
probably A-Team. I would feel.
Yeah, she
Okay.
does. She likes a little bit
She
like
likes
the
old-
tragic.
she like is
Yeah,
that,
like the
18
old,
was like
like-
the first.
It was the
big
very
song,
first
Yeah.
one.
right? Okay.
I
yeah.
feel like she'd be into that one.
It's also very. A lot of people like that because it's just like it's about a woman prostituting herself for drugs and like that
Yeah.
tragedy. Very relevant to Westeros.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Very relevant to Ed Sheeran.
But
The
here's
A
the thing.
team, also known as the Arya team. I'm on
Yeah.
it.
So this Ed Sheeran appearance, which gets a lot of crap, rightly so, even though I do enjoy Ed Sheeran.
Oh, I was here for it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right.
it was to surprise Maisie Williams because she's a big fan, and then I think it would have been fine if they would have had him singing as she came in because that's actually a pretty traditional part of Game of Thrones.
Right.
And then him not spoken.
Yeah.
Because a couple of those lines were so bad, or have him say something vague, very simple. But they were like, we're gonna have him say a couple lines that's very unneeded.
Yeah. He was like given the lines that were the equivalent of like, oh, that's whack. Like those were like that's how they felt. Like
He could have just
Yeah.
been one of the soldiers.
Yeah.
And this, sometimes I like this scene because it humanizes soldiers,
Yeah.
and it's an interesting stop for Arya. But sometimes I'm like, is this 100% to get Ed Sheeran in the show?
Yeah. I honestly I actually really like that scene, like, because it is such a tonal shift, and it also is like it presents a place where it's like, yeah, everyone talks shit in West. Like, you can talk shit, and not everyone is gonna take every word you say and twist it into something. Because you're
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna go kill the queen, and then there's like that moment, and everyone's like, ha, he's so funny. Like, it's good. Like,
It is.
Funny.
funny.
I think it's just because so many times we've come across people in the forest and they're bad.
Yeah.
And like she comes off and they're like, they have no ill intent. Like,
Yeah.
it is another remembrance. Like, we've been watching the Top of Thrones, and it affects probably hundreds of thousands of people who just
Right.
are not like, they're fighting in other people's wars.
It was honestly the first time that I ever thought about the Lannister common people.
Right.
Like, whenever I think of Lannisters, I think the main characters who are the villains, or I think of just their mindless soldiers. I never think of like that guy's like, oh, my wife's pregnant back home. I'm like, oh, Tywin Lannister had to like rule over peasants. Like
Yeah.
that never made that connection in my brain.
Yeah.
So
And he says, like, daughters take care of their papas, and boys just go off to fight in someone else's war, and that's rings very true.
Yeah. I like that scene a lot.
Yeah.
Ed Sheeran aside.
So Ed Sheeran, this is not his acting debut. There was a show on
Do we
TNT.
need practice before this one?
There was a show on TNT called The Bastard Executioner, which was like they were trying to do sort of what Thrones is doing, but they knew they were never going to get to this level. But they wanted a medieval serious, and it was another one where like magic is on the outskirts, but he plays like the horrible tax collector's minion, and it's bad. But it's funny because it's another period piece. Anyway,
Yeah, I will say, I think Jonesy's musical appearance, I don't know how to say his name, the Sigaros guy, he's at the Marjorie and
oh
and,
yeah,
the wedding, and that's like very brief, and it was like
it fits
it didn't
more
detract
seamlessly.
at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that
Also,
was
he's
kinda
not as
handled.
recognizable of a face.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
you actually look. There's a handful of celebrity cameos in one where kind of what Star Wars has been doing. Thrones in season 6 and mostly 7. There's actually quite a few. There's a Mets pitcher in a coming episode. Noah Syndergaard.
Yeah. He will not draw my attention at all. I'm
No,
sure.
I didn't. I wouldn't have ever noticed him.
Yeah.
You almost can't tell. But
Just gonna be throwing rocks really fast against the wall.
that would be pretty funny if they had him throw
That'd
something.
be really funny.
I just wanted to cut to a road and then just like Peter Jackson eating a carrot is in the shot. I need it.
They said George R. R. Martin turned down a background cameo in season 8.
You said cameo. Congratulations.
Cameo. Dang it! I missed 2 opportunities to say cameo because of him and Ed Sheeran. But he said he was busy writing, so that's good. Give us wins before you die,
Is
George.
he?
Give us wins before you die.
Yeah.
Well, his sci-fi series just got canceled, so I have high hopes.
Good.
It was probably bad.
I heard it was bad.
I'm very loud.
It's fine. You're not peeking here.
Okay, cool.
We're used to it.
Anyway, the last scene for Arya is when she does find out about Jon, and she comes back. She finds out from our old friend Hot Pie.
I love him. I was so excited.
He now twice has kind of made this very brief appearance in season 5 and now season 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good for that kid.
Yeah. Good for him.
Hey, will you come up to Ireland for 2 days and shoot the scene? Sure. Okay. And I can eat pie? All right.
Are you going to talk about gravy again?
Oh, it's good.
Yeah. But yeah, that was all
Oh,
I
she
just saw.
also sees her wolf?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I was pretty confident.
I stopped this time. I only
Yes.
watched 3, so I know for a
Okay.
fact that...
And it kind of sucks because you gotta Nymeria and her are not together that long, but she had a real love for Nymeria and made her run away to be saved and got Lady killed. But a little sad to see Nymeria's too big for Mama now.
Yeah.
You guys are not attested to direwolves. I feel like it's a very common thing, but that's okay.
The show doesn't.
Yeah,
really
the show doesn't do a good job,
Mhm.
especially with Nymeria. I feel like
Yeah.
it.
I feel like even just in the books that I did read, they were referenced so much that I understand why people are attached to them. But watching the show, I'm attached to Ghost.
I think people
I
are
guess.
just so
Yeah.
attached to dogs in general that
That's true,
all
too.
you have to do is throw
None
a
of us
dog
are
on
like
screen,
dog
people are like,
owners.
oh, it's a doggo.
That's true.
Did you guys
Heck,
ever
a
own
good
dogs?
boy.
We had one when I was really young, but
Apparently a bit Tyler and Mom got rid of it.
it's not even
Oh,
a real story.
Protect
No,
Tyler.
she made that up.
Hey, let's go to Winterfell.
Let's do it.
John and Sansa
Let's
bickering in front of the people.
it.
Yeah.
It's okay to disagree, but don't do it in front of the lords,
Yeah.
Sansa.
That's that's the thing is I feel like everyone's like, do you know what? Sansa's actually really smart, and then Sansa's apparently really smart in all the wrong places.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things. It's become so annoying. It's just so frustrating because she does have valid things to
Yeah,
say,
absolutely.
and you'd think that all the time she spent in King's Landing, she would know when and where to
How
do
to play
those
the game
things
a
as
little
well,
bit,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? But
Yeah, I
and
feel like
let-
most of her valid arguments come when she's doing it stupidly, and then anytime she's in private with John, all of her arguments are really dumb.
yeah, it's
like,
it's weird. Yeah.
She once again reverts to the "you don't know her like I know her."
right.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what am I
Another
missing?
woman in Jon
She's
Snow's life
evil.
to tell him he knows nothing.
Another redhead.
True.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Next incest relationship.
No.
But it's cousin, so it's not that bad. Anyway, this is a
Mitchell,
random
10-year-old's cousin.
Oh my gosh. Oh no. Random nitpick from this scene. He brings up. He decides to let the Karstarks and the Umbers keep their castles and their lordship over those areas, even though they were not loyal. And he brings up a kid from each one who apparently is now the head of those. And he asks them if "Are you with me now and always?" And I expect I was like, do they just say yes? What do you say to that? And they're like, "Now and always." I'm like, how do you know? How did you know to say that?
Yeah.
I don't
It
buy
was
it.
bred into them.
I guess they just when you bend the knee, whatever they say in the form of a question, you just answer back in the form of a statement. All right? You can do it. Go up
Wow,
there.
I think you just did it. I mean, you could be their maester.
Yeah, I'm
That's
really.
basically...
Oh, maybe I should be a maester. Nah, I don't always want to be wearing those chains unless they're gold. All right. Lyanna gets her dope line in. John just seems to do the opposite of what rich people want. We saw it at Castle Black, and now.
Yeah, well, and I think it's interesting to see him in these positions because really, John hasn't made many bad decisions in the show. So at this point, I'm just yeah, sure. John can he has this instinct, I guess, and can basically do whatever he wants. So whenever anyone questions him, I'm like, but all this stuff he did, and I'm like, oh yeah, most of that was dealt with things that everyone still believes are somewhat mythical. So maybe there's a reason they maybe don't want to believe him all the way. But yeah, I do think it is interesting, and I don't know. I'm just kind of like, yeah, let him do whatever he wants.
Sure,
people love him.
Yeah, I mean, and that works out for him. He leaves, and then Sansa's kind of taking care of Winterfell's doing a decent job there. Kind of, how much grain do we have? It's kind of the boring logistical scene. They're like, I know why we needed this. Let's just do it. Okay.
More leather.
Yeah.
What's the shortest winter on record? I don't know. What a terrible maester.
Yeah, that guy.
You should know that.
Take his chain away.
Hashtag take his chain away.
Not my maester.
But yeah, and then I think that, like, of course Jon has to go to Dragonstone. Like, there's no way he doesn't go to Dragonstone. And I loved all those scenes. I think I love him and Tyrion. The scene, like.
Oh, are we going to Dragonstone now?
Oh, I
no, we
guess
can. I'm
sorry. I was just following.
No,
Jon,
I'm just
so I was
very
like,
excited about it.
Okay, yeah. So,
let's touch on Bran first, actually, because he's
Okay.
not.
Oh,
very
yeah,
Bran.
our stoner is burned.
So Bran has arrived back at Winterfell, and I thought, like, even though the second time I watched it, I thought it was Arya. I even wrote in my notes I had to cross out Arya's name because it turned out to be Bran that was back.
Way less exciting.
Mirka doesn't have time
and-
for that shit.
Man,
you thought Aerie was back?
knowledge has changed the man.
Yeah, into the
It's a
worst.
robot.
He's become woke, as the kids say. So woke, in fact, that he's soulless.
Yeah,
He is. He kind of sucks, and
It's
he
bad.
says a very tactless thing. Your wedding night was beautiful. Your dress was so nice. Before you got raped, shut up,
No,
Bran.
I was like,
you
what the
you
hell?
saw everything, right? You know everything.
Yeah.
Why? What?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It's like, to happen in your own home. It's like,
Thanks, Bran.
And it was
Point
like
out.
it was like this emotional moment for Sansa, like when she hugs him, like when he first gets
Yeah.
there, and I was like, is he just gonna be an asshole teen somehow? And then
Yeah.
it's like, oh no, he's just a husk.
Yeah.
I think they could have made him a well-rounded character and a little loopy without making
I feel like the
making him
transition
so
wasn't
aloof
good
that he's
enough,
not an
though.
interesting character.
Yeah, it's weird.
I would have been
Man.
fine with it if it wasn't just all of a sudden
Yeah.
season, you know?
Yeah.
It feels almost like a behind the scenes
Right.
change almost because it's after the season break, not somewhere in the middle of the show.
Right.
And his screen time through this is still less than Ned's in season 1.
oh my god.
That's
That
right.
is nuts.
It's like, I guess maybe we haven't had time enough with him for the arc. He's obviously, nothing he's done has ever been a time dominant situation. How many
true.
big scenes has he had? He had the flashbacks. He had the little fight before he actually gets into the cave, but there's just not enough moments to spend with Bran for me to care about him as the three-eyed
Yeah,
Raven.
that's crazy. I can't believe it's less than Ned Stark
And
still at this point.
when we do the season 8 preview episode, I will talk to you about a Bran theory that really grinds my gears.
Okay.
I
Let's.
know which one you're talking about.
But yeah, anything else about Winterfell?
No, that was the last thing I could think of. I guess Littlefinger's still there, being a douche. John,
Trying to be a
John,
Every
snake.
time they pan over to his face in the corner and he just smirks, I want to punch it. It's
Yeah.
so annoying.
Yeah.
John has a callback to Ned, choking him out against the wall.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
good. That was a good moment.
It's always. But the question is, like, what do you guys think Sansa's temperature is of what Littlefinger's doing right now?
She seems, I mean, the way I'm reading it, she seems pretty aware. Like, she seems pretty standoffish from him. But I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, but the more interesting thing is that he gets in her ear a little bit more. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm prepared for that to happen because I feel like that's the interesting choice storytelling-wise. But, I mean, she's pretty on it right now, and Brienne is, like, hovering
Yeah.
the way
She
that Brienne does.
Oh, and then we should mention that the wildlings are going to go man the wall.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like a nice, dope role reversal there. Even though it's a
yeah,
little
that's
weird
cool.
that they agreed to do that when, like, oh, that brings us closer to the danger we ran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take Danny from the top, and then
Okay,
her and
then
John's
converge.
paths will.
Okay.
So I like that the real last scene from last season, because I said Arya's was, but it's Danny and them on the boats, right?
Oh, right, yeah.
And on
Yeah,
this
you're
one, they're like all sitting in the same exact spots. And I'm like, she didn't let. What you? Sorry, this is a narrow sea. If this was the wide sea, we'd go to our cabins. You stand up here, bitch. We're on our way to Westeros.
If we don't have discipline, what do we have?
That sounds like a line she would say.
I know.
Tyrion, are you drifting off? Are your little bitch legs hurting? Oh gosh, you're the worst hand of all time.
I'm the hand, not the legs.
Oh.
That's definitely what Tyrion would say. Loves his dad.
Yeah,
jokes.
yeah, totally.
Loves his dad.
And then she like touches the sand, and it just feels wonderful. Apparently,
Right.
that was how episode
She
one
ain't no
was.
Anakin Skywalker. She loves that scene.
Yeah, it's so not that coarse. Yeah, we could roll around in this.
I really like her, like that whole entrance into Dragonstone. It feels longer than it needs to be,
Yeah.
in a way that I like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's momentous and cool, and there's no dialogue, and just that moment where she's like, "Shall we begin?" Like it's pretty good.
So good.
I would have
like
rather
it.
had it last
Sucker
that
for
long
it.
than them cut it really fast. Like, be the same pace as everything else this season.
Yeah.
Like,
You know, that's the thing about this season, though. Because we have less storylines, they do let a handful of scenes really breathe, and it's really fun to watch. And they can do that, but I don't think I don't think they had a choice when it came to some of the speed of this season. But because we have so many characters converge, it does allow some scenes to really just let them indulge it, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, it was really. I really like that, and I think that that's like an incredible looking location. Like it's one of the, it's just like the way they shoot it, especially like, is just really cool. It's
it is a little weird to see, like weird in a good way, to see her like standing where Stannis was planning everything.
Right.
And,
Yeah, you kind of forget about, but that cliffside room is dope. The table, which you can compare to Cersei, has Westeros painted.
Yeah.
Which is like her opening scene. I really like those. I like just this feeling of just like power, and it's wartime, and this is really settling in.
Yeah. And it, I mean, kind of in talking about the Stannis stuff, it also feels completely different. Like they really do a good job of like differentiating that, and a lot of that I feel like is pretty simple. It's just lighting almost.
Yeah.
Like it's so much brighter there than it is for so much of the Stannis stuff.
Well, they use the brightness because they have the shot of it's outside, and that's all you can see, and she's silhouetted again against the back there, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
and I don't know if I can't remember if it is when they first arrive or if it's like something they were supposed to do off screen later. In the second episode, the water on the table is painted blue, which it never was before.
Oh, interesting.
So it's just adding that color in there more.
Yeah, that's cool.
She was like, "Hey, I haven't been here before. Can you guys show me where the lakes are? I'm gonna get some blue paint. Go down to the Hobby Lobby."
I just need. Do we have anything we can highlight the lakes with? Yeah, blue would be great. Let's do that. Let's highlight the lakes.
Exactly. Thank you. And then Dany kind of goes off on Varys. Like, it's kind of odd to me that is her first, like, I'm gonna come at you and test your loyalty.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
She's kind of got what she's needed out of him at that point, so it's kind
Right.
of like, do I still keep you around the risk you are, I guess.
yeah.
Is the only thing I can think of.
He is a pretty good comeback, but it's quite testy.
Yeah, no, I think, I think that was like a weird scene to watch at first, but I totally got it. Like when I thought about it, I was like, oh yeah, it does make sense that she would be super wary of that still. And but the thing about Varys is like, because he like 100% believes in what he's doing, like I don't think he has a problem with it. You know what I mean? Like
He doesn't get rattled.
and I don't think that he's gone against his own code ever. Like he really has. He really does believe that he is the voice, like a magnified voice of the people in the rooms where everything happens. You know, and like
where it happened.
thank you. But yeah, it's so. I thought that was a really good scene, and I think it's a good. Anytime I get a little more insight into Varys, I'm happy. So yeah, that was interesting.
And then there's too many cooks in the kitchen for Dany's army. They seem to have all the pieces, but at the same time, too many voices.
Yeah. A lot of angsty voices.
Yeah.
Very much
True.
so. A lot of powerful women, though. I think that's something is like we see the sexism of this world, and now we have a lot of women in power.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Cersei is what she's the first queen, right, of the Seven Kingdoms or whatever.
Yeah.
Did they say that at some point?
Yeah.
So.
And what's interesting about this one is Tyrion, and we'll talk about this. He's wrong. He screws up twice in the set of 3 episodes, and he has a very different plan from Olenna. And I'm wondering, when you heard Olenna come in and say, "Hey, like, don't listen to that little shit. Do what you want. You're a strong, independent woman." Were you like, "No, Tyrion's plan is smart tactically," or you were with Olenna? Because I've always thought like there's merit to just freaking crashing King's Landing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard. I think my thing is based on Dany's own experience to this point, though. Like, that's what she did at Slaver's Bay.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can argue that when she left Slaver's Bay, it's not necessarily going to be a whole lot better than when she got there. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, the way she left it, I don't know. I do think that it makes sense for Dany to be taking this slower, because when she has just gone in and totally displaced stuff, there's been a bunch of problems that she didn't think about. And so for her to stop and like think through all those things, it made sense to me. And yeah, I mean, Olenna, we already know where Olenna stands. Like, she doesn't give a shit about the like human cost of war at this point. So
yeah, she has nothing to live for. So who care?
Yeah. But
should we get the greatest eunuch sex scene in the history of television out of the way?
Yeah, why not?
yeah, are we gonna talk about MASH?
What?
Oh, never mind. They're not eunuchs. Yeah, let's do it.
Grey Rooms gives a beautiful romantic speech about how he did not have any weaknesses and she's his weakness. Like, that was genuinely a great romantic moment, and you don't get many of these in this show. Mm-hmm. Like, when was the last one? The cave?
Yeah, probably.
This scene also kind of feels like, in a way that I don't think is necessarily bad, but it feels the most teenage drama-y, I guess. She comes in, she's like, "You're just gonna not say bye," and then he's like, "I'm afraid," and she like is about to storm out, and it's like, man, it's some Degrassi shit right here.
I will say, like, this is like the thing that feels, of the stuff in Thrones, it feels the most kind of fan servicey, because it's like one of those things like, this doesn't affect anything like long term. But I think that it's just one of those things where it's like, I wasn't around when, like, you know, I wasn't watching this show when it was on to know, but I'm sure there are people out there who this is their favorite relationship in the show. You know what I mean? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of feels like fanfic done right. You know what I mean? Or not fanfic, fan service, as far as like, this really does. We'll give you. It's
nice to see something genuine, though, and like, this show is full of matches and marriages and to some degree sex in the earlier seasons, especially, but not a lot of love. And so it's kind of nice to see this come out of it, and they're seeing their vulnerability. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how this worked. It seems like Missandei probably had a great time.
We still didn't get any answers.
I don't think there's anything down there. And I thought, how does he pee?
You can still pee. So, I mean, from what I've heard, I'm trying to remember where I heard this.
No, I haven't Googled eunuchedness, like, and how they make sure things.
I've heard a story of a man who got he was having some sort of penis elongating surgery, and it went wrong. Oh. And he lost his dick completely. Oh. And basically, so he was suing. The article I read was about his lawsuit. And basically, you just kind of have like a hole there, and you have to like peel back, like the skin covering it to get pee out, and it's just kind of a mess. Like, it just goes everywhere. So,
okay, we're done. We get it. Okay, then just what John shows up.
Join us for a medical history podcast or something. I don't know what the
So, I'm just saying, so you can help picture Grey Worm's situation a little bit better. Okay?
No one needed that picture.
I liked it better when he was just the Ken doll in my mind.
He doesn't just need
buffer it. Don't pee.
No, they don't need.
They connect the urethra to the intestinal tract, and it just all goes out the back like a bird.
All right, so John sees some dragons, and he falls over, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, dragons!"
Yeah.
Yep.
That's my
how it
that's my
happens.
transition.
That was a good segue.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so John shows up at Dragonstone, and that's cool.
And nice Davos is just trying to make conversation. He's like, "Oh, you're from Noth. Let me tell you about what I know about Noth." And Missandei don't give it a shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
was she
fine,
really
whatever.
there for that long though? Before she was like,
No,
a
it
slave?
seemed like, why didn't she say that? Like, oh, sorry, I was sold when I was 2. I don't really, had no idea.
It's like a lot to
You
get
think
into
she
on
would
first
have
meeting
had
though.
encountered that situation before? And
Oh
had
man,
something
plot
ready,
twist.
you know?
Davos smuggled her when she was a baby to get sold into slavery.
Season 8 is gonna hinge around that.
Yep, it's all
That's all it is.
Missandei center stage.
I would
Season
like to
8.
think he didn't smuggle slaves.
I would like to think that too.
Well, I would like to think that a lot of people didn't do a lot of fucking horrible things in this show because I like those people.
But yeah, so John gets there as that sweet moment with Tyrion on the beach.
Oh,
This is good.
That
It's
was
good to see them
good.
back together. Like,
what's up, bastard?
one of my favorite lines is when he's just like, last time I saw you, I think we were on top of the wall. He's like, yeah, you were pissing off the edge. Like, it's just like, that's such a
So good.
they feel like it's like when the Northerners meet again and they're like, oh yeah, like that's kind of what it felt like, but more restrained and
Well, and the
and
way they
good.
both found that, like, they were only around each other for so long up
Right.
there, and they just knew, like, when this came around, they're like, hey, this, like, we don't have beef, and this is not a bad decision right now
yeah.
to try and help one another out. But Dany quickly, man, she's kind of on one in these first few episodes. She was like,
Yeah.
she was just comes in being super skeptical, bend the knee. Honestly, she bothers me, but I think it completely makes sense. It works.
I mean, can I just throw something out there?
What's that?
She didn't bring Dario with her. She's been getting it pretty regularly, and now she's been on a boat for a long time and is in a strange.
Standing in that same spot.
And
back at her
nothing makes you
parents'
hornier
house,
than a boat.
essentially.
Yeah, she had to move back home.
Yeah, she's been back home. Like, she's probably got a lot.
Most of the men around her don't have penises. I mean, think about it: Varys, and then Grey Worm, and then a bunch of women.
All the Unsullied.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
So I mean, Dario. This is. I think what we learned is Dario was providing pretty good service. That was helping a lot of people. So just gonna put that out there. That's not just that's what happens.
That's my favorite fan theory I've ever heard. of Game of Thrones.
It's important. You can read it in more detail on my blog.
Daenerys is going to lose the war because she did not bring her bone toy.
Not getting laid. Yeah. I mean, that's a big advantage that Cersei has over her.
Yeah.
She's getting laid by her brother. So
I don't know. She just keeps sending Jamie random places, though.
That's true.
Lancel's
Yes, that's
dad.
I'm fine.
So,
with that,
but this exchange is pretty significant. Like,
Yeah.
they go back and forth about, like, you should bend the knee. Look, I'm not here for that, and I'm not going to do that. And just learning a little about each other. And John kind of accidentally throws in there, I took a knife to the heart. Oh, no. Davos
Davos
says that.
says.
And then he almost says he died. But it's a fun exchange. I think it's
This is
interesting
probably
for
my
them.
favorite moment of the first
It's
three
the
episodes.
best way for them to learn about each other and us witness it without it being exposition-y.
Yeah, the whole like Missandei like listing off everything, and then Davos just being like, he's Jon Snow.
Oh, yeah, he's the king
King
of
of
the
the
North.
North.
Yeah. Maybe the most important thing here, Melisandre. Oh wait, is that happening in a later scene?
Are you
No,
talking
she
about-
gets there before John does.
About
she's
the-
on the cliff.
She's telling
yeah,
her
they're still on
like
the
you
cliff.
gotta trust
Yeah.
John, and we find out that the word is genderless when it comes to the prince of whatever.
Promise.
Prince that was promised, yeah.
Yeah, the prince that was promised. Yeah.
Another quick Melisandre note on the hill. She says to Varys, "We both have to die in this country. You know that, right? Why?
Yeah,
Tell me more.
yeah.
Tell me more. Tell me more. Did you knock on
Did we
your
get
door?
that song at least like 3 times this podcast? I feel like
That song?
I'm pretty sure from you.
Yeah, you're right. I just gotta grease the wheels on that song once in a while. I'm so sorry.
Monster.
You're a monster. Anyway, do you have any other insight? Like, why do you think that we don't have any sort of mythos behind that saying? But it sounded like it mattered.
No, I mean I feel like it's pretty clear by the end of the show we're losing both of them, and
Yeah. Well, and like he's, I mean, It's tied to. I mean, in my mind, the way I'm reading it is that it's tied to the thing that happened when he was younger. Because like the Red Priestess in Marine also kind of like
She knew shit.
talks about stuff that she knows about him. So yeah, that's interesting.
Him and the Hound are gonna have to hold hands and walk through the flames, confront their fears.
Down to
It'll
the
just be
burning
the
ring
final
of fire.
shot of Fight Club, but it's Varys and the Hound. As King's Landing falls in the background.
Oh man, that would. I would only be partly mad if that was the ending of Game of Thrones.
But yeah, it's. I think that scene, like those scenes, are really good with Jon, and it does show. Like I don't know, it's another one of those things. It's like Jon is a good leader. Like
Yep.
Jon knows what he's doing. He's pretty competent, and he has a perspective that not a lot of the other like big players, and by that I mean the people who are like in seats of huge power right now. Yeah, they just don't have that perspective. You know what I mean? He's kind of like, yeah, none of this bullshit matters basically because we're all gonna be dead soon. So,
And it's interesting to see him have to confront people like Dany, and they do approach this like so many people have said there's no way that you're like dragons aren't real, and this happened, so she's like, I've had so many people kind of give me the same reaction that I think it kind of helps her empathize, but it must be frustrating for him to be like, yeah, there's an army of the dead, they're coming for us,
yeah,
and have to sell her on that, and then he's like, am I your prisoner? It's a very interesting. We get a lot of wonderful cliffside conversations with him and Tyrion.
yeah.
It is a lot of fun having two massive characters come together really quickly. Like at the end of season 6, if you just said, I guess they almost had to bring them together, but if you would have said like these two that are so massively apart are going to be together that quick, it's been a very fun dynamic.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool.
But actually, it works out a lot better than my expectations were because I knew it was coming, and both those actors aren't my favorite performances of the show.
Yeah,
and so to have it be like what is currently my favorite part of this season was really surprising to me and really welcome surprise.
Yeah.
We get some brooding Tyrion, some brooding Jon, and they just have a great exchange. And then, like a couple things happen back to back where Tyrion's plans go awry. They attack the wrong castle, and their fleet gets destroyed.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough for Tyrion.
Yeah, that sucks because it does feel. It feels foolproof. You know what I mean? Like they've got the back door basically that they can sneak into, and like insider knowledge and all that, and yeah, it's bad stuff.
Yeah.
So Tyrion tries to set up the attack on Castle Rock. He knows secret entrances. They take it too easy. He's narrating that battle, which is very interesting because it's a fairly large set piece, and it's kind of a different way to tell the story. But it sucks, but it does end with the Olenna Jaime scene, which makes it all fairly worth it.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
That was so good.
Oh, I just love that Joffrey died, and she finally got to be like, "It was me, bitch."
I like when people finally get credit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jimmy was so nice getting her a painless poison.
I know, yeah.
A lot of Unsullied do die in that attack too, though. It's kind of sad.
And their
Sorry, in the
ships
preceding
get
attack before he goes
screwed.
after Highgarden.
Yeah, she had 8,000, is that right, when she first bought them?
Yeah.
You think of
I
all the
wonder.
losses they took in Marine to the Sons of the Harpy and the losses they took there. She's probably down to like 5,000.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, the forces dwindle. Like, we know Jon, like, a lot of his got, like, he must have lost a ton. Like, the idea that the wildlings can man very many castles is like, didn't most of y'all die in the Battle of the Bastards?
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of women and children left of the wildlings.
That's
yeah,
true.
That's true.
Those boys are growing up fast. I mean, time is flying. Plenty of time for them to mature up.
But yeah, Olenna's scene. Do we want to talk about that? More,
No,
or
not
are
at
we
all.
just-
Of course, it was very sad to see the most attractive female character on the show go down.
Gosh.
But she took it like a champ.
Yeah, that's
Sure
how
not.
you lose.
Yeah, lose with grace.
Something we can't say for Ned Stark, actually.
Oh, boo.
I didn't mean that as a stab, but I thought it was more interesting that it's like we have like one of the most honorable character on the show kind of trying to play the game a little bit too late at the end
Yeah.
compared to someone who's just
always on.
Yeah.
It's got like a million gamer score. Thanks, Xbox.
Presented by Xbox 360.
This is an
Exclusive title.
podcast.
Xbox exclusive. Sponsored by Halo 3. You can still technically play that game. Bow, bow. Okay, let's go to the giant pirate ship battle.
Yeah, let's do it.
We just make great effort to make those ads like just slip right in. Like they don't feel like we paused it and we're like, hey, I gotta tell you about this product. Thanks, Microsoft. Just so you know, this podcast is recorded on a Surface.
Yeah, let's talk about the giant pirate battle, and you can have your own giant pirate battles in the Xbox exclusive Sea of Thieves. Available on Xbox Game Pass.
It's the big exclusive.
Okay, seriously, let's talk about
anyway,
pirates.
Urine.
Urine. That's a great yes. That's what we were calling him
That's
from
his
now
name
on.
now.
We'll talk about him at King's Landing in a minute, but the big thing is he crashes the party of his nephew and niece's fleet, which also happened. Oh, the Sand Snakes are back, and it's
For
lit.
a
little
second.
bit,
Yeah, they really brought them back to die. I'm sure those actors
best
are like,
thing
yeah,
Urine's done in the show. Only good things. Kill those two.
It's a good. There's some. It's clearly like, hey, we got to save money on this because we have a lot of other stuff. So it's going to be very dark and scattered, but cool fire and lots of good fighting. Like Euron versus them, who they each use like a unique weapon. Like it's pretty fun to watch. The chaos works for me.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it feels different than anything we've seen too. Like you're saying, like with the fire, like there's just constantly those embers kind of in the foreground. Which at first I was like, and then I actually really liked it. It gives it like a kind of a cool, unique feel to it that I enjoyed.
Remember the ship-to-ship battle in Pirates of the Caribbean 3, the most expensive movie ever made, and this was just as good for 1/20th of the price. Good job, Jerry Bruckheimer. But thanks for Survivor.
Yeah, I just wanted to see Euron pull like a Jack Sparrow and just be like swinging off the mast, like gymnastics, spinning but screaming, not knowing what he's doing.
Like every time we've seen Euron this season, he has guy liner on. Now he's got dreads and a bandana. Like, he's just full on Jack
Just
Sparrow.
drunk all the time.
He's on something.
Has some skeleton
That
pirates.
scene in the throne room, though, he's
Yeah.
Gosh.
He's got some sort of swagger.
Yeah. So he kills the Sand Snakes, takes Ilaria captive,
And her daughter.
and is
Yeah.
that Oberah? Is
no.
that one? Or is that a
Oberah's the
different
man one.
Okay, I can't keep them straight at all.
You can't say that.
Man, we all know who he's
All
talking
right.
about.
Yeah, because Ilaria and Asha. Nope. What's her name in the show?
Yara.
Yara about to get it on.
Yeah,
And
that's-
Theon's
yeah.
gonna wall.
They had my favorite
Apparently.
porno line of the show so far. There's about to be a foreign invasion.
Oh,
Oh gosh.
I was like, wait, the doorbell's going to ring any moment.
I did write it down to use later, but yeah.
Now I just got to go abroad.
And find abroad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of death. It all happens pretty quick. 2 sand snakes die.
Yeah.
She gets captured, and Theon literally
Ugh.
jumps off of the boat in cowardice fear. It shows he's made progress, but he's still a little reeky.
He's a piece of shit.
Okay, here's my book title. In Defense of Theon. That's the smartest move in that scenario. He knows he can't beat him. He knows he's a piece of shit. Like, so the best move for him is to jump ship and hopefully live to fight another day. Hopefully save his sister later. If he would have tried there, he would have died. They still would have been captured.
One day more.
Granted,
That's true.
that might not be what was going through his head.
No,
Yeah, it definitely
wasn't.
wasn't. I also like it's. I don't know. I'm surprised he didn't just kill her. Like that's honestly like that's the energy I felt going into that. If I was Theon, I'd be like, yeah, he's gonna kill my sister right now. I should do something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, he's a broken man.
He is.
Sucks.
Which feels a little like retreading ground a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like it's another storyline of his that is not wanted nor needed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. But yeah, so he is picked up by survivors, basically.
Yeah,
His
one
own
of
men,
the.
right?
They
like
said 2
three-
boats or
two
3
boats,
boats
that's right,
left.
okay.
Who are giving him shit for running.
That's
Where were you? Why didn't you
fair.
pay the iron price, bitch? All right. So let's bring Urine into this story a little bit with his interactions with Cersei. That's my favorite mispronunciation of all time.
I love it. Yeah, I
gonna
love it.
We're gonna
it.
stick
You're
to
on. No, you're in. So Cersei starts out on the beautiful painted floor that deserves a second shout, and Jaime is kind of trying to talk some sense into her.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting because last season we felt like Jaime was regressing, and all of a sudden it seems like he's starting to really get turned off by being around Cersei more, and he's trying to talk some sense into her.
Yeah.
He's like, we got enemies to the north, we got enemies to the south and to the west, to the east, and they're coming from the top and the bottom. It just kept going.
Yeah, James got a fire mixtape, and he's pitching it.
Yeah,
his
Lin-Manuel
girl.
Miranda wrote all of his lines this season.
Oh my gosh, if we
can't
get a
escape him.
Lin-Manuel cameo in season 8,
If we get a
I will.
Lin-Manuel Xbox One exclusive on this show,
Oh.
But, okay, this is the only...
Can you write the Constitution? Only on Xbox One.
Xbox One X, the only hardware able to bring you the Constitution in full VR. Honestly, the only...
oh shit, we don't have VR. We got a HoloLens, maybe.
The only...
I hope you still have your Kinect. Because we're about to add some rhythm to the revolution.
When did this podcast become us just dissing Xbox?
I like Xbox. I haven't owned a console in like 8 years, but it would have been an Xbox.
Yeah, anyways, my joke is long past.
Oh, I'm
gonna
sorry.
try to
That
go-
was
no,
my
this
fault.
was
I
so much
interrupted
better.
it. I'm
This was
sorry.
Much better.
Oh,
Oh, my cheeks hurt.
That was much better. Yeah, so it is interesting. Jamie is one of those characters that, like, I feel like everyone loves him because of one season of stuff.
Yep.
And I
Makes
also,
sense.
I really like him.
It made him a better character because it's not like
Yes.
those things are completely gone.
No, that's true. But yeah, I do feel like he's been an errand boy for a very long time and continues in some ways to be an errand boy.
Do you think
this
that has
season.
slowly built to him like coming to this anti-Cersei realization almost?
I mean, I think here's the thing that I felt during these scenes was it didn't feel that much different from when he came back. I think it was season 5. It's
Yeah.
the one because like right before he left, before all the Sparrow stuff
Right.
happened, like we had some similar stuff of them like talking, and so that's just another relationship that I feel like we haven't seen a lot of progress there. You know what I mean? Over the last few seasons. So it felt a little retreading to me too.
But he's also a little pissed that she's like buying into Euron's sale job. By the way, Euron says Armada in the scene. I was just like saying, last week I asked, I was like, Armada, is that word?
Yeah,
And
they
it
do.
does.
Hey, I
It
really-
does.
Ask and George R. R. Martin will provide.
But those scenes, yeah, there's 2 of those throne room seasons with some very heavy-handed Euron just making fun of them for incest. I'm like, this seems a little weird for this show's writing. I kind of like it, but I kind of also, it feels wrong.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's definitely weird. But yeah, he makes the hand joke.
And we get a literal office level reaction shot from Jamie. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That game is also on Sony's beep beep. That was me bleeping out the other product, the other gaming system. All right.
But we're open to crossplay. Unlike some. Gosh, damn it. Yeah, I shouldn't have gone there. Anyway, back to the worst scene in the whole show.
He just comes, the way he
in-
comes swaggering in.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost prefer Jack Sparrow. You know, like
Yeah,
it's so
definitely.
bad.
Commit to it.
Like,
He commits to something.
Yeah.
And you got to think, like, the directors are letting him do this.
I think it's their fault.
Okay. You think this is what they
I-
wanted?
I think
Yeah.
just the way this season is and the flavor of this season, I feel like it's a direction choice.
Yeah, I don't hate him as much as you do. There are some things that are so different and just ridiculous that I don't hate, but overall it is bad.
Yeah.
And then he of course brings Yara back and is like, "Hey, I took this down," and that's kind of him proving himself. And Cersei gets a scene in the middle there where she's trying to convince the people who are loyal to Highgarden to come with them, including the big target is a wealthy, nice family that we know a little bit, the Tarleys.
Yeah.
Dickon.
It's like, I know that name.
I actually really enjoyed that. Oh, I know you. Rickon? No, Dickon.
No.
That was too easy, mate. You can't just say that. And that guy's in Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
After last season was played by someone different. But the dad is just another bald lordy douche. You get a lot of those.
Yep.
What did you call him? Papa Tarley? Was that what you called him?
Daddy Tarley.
Daddy Tarley. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that
He's
name
not
for him.
Papa because he's not nice. He's Daddy.
Father Tarley.
Yeah.
I wonder how pissed he is about his Valerian steel
I wonder
sword.
if he's noticed.
Is Valerian heels?
I'm gonna go down to King's Landing. I'm gonna leave that nice ass sword up here.
He's just like, I should check on that Valerian sword. It never goes anywhere.
No, Sam replaced it with like a paper mache sword before they left.
It's just two swords taped together.
Yeah, that looks about right.
Gilly has crocheted a sword.
There's like candy in the middle of it.
I want to see that scene where he discovers that so bad.
He's like, wait.
Only on the Blu-rays, I think.
Sam!
Oh, man.
What a foolish son.
Oh, or they Home Alone it, and you just hear his voice from the background. Sam, what did you do to my sword?
Oh, man. So all that happens. He becomes like a big head honcho in the army. He basically, Jamie makes him commander of the army.
Commander of the sea,
whatever that is.
and it's like he's gonna lead the sea attack while Jamie's gonna lead the air attack.
Yeah.
He gets that. He gets that
The
like
air attack?
the land and
The
sea.
other one.
Anyway, I grew up by an Air Force base. Is that really your excuse, Mitch? Shut up, you dumbass. Euron comes back to like a almost Jesus-like moment going through the streets of King's Landing where he's getting cheered.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
It's a little over the
Yeah.
top. I mean, I assume that they have big plans for him, so like we really gotta blow some smoke up this guy's ass so everyone thinks he's a big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not my favorite.
But Cersei's doing a lot of, like, you can tell she doesn't really give a shit about this guy, but it's helpful. But on the side, they're like, how are we going to kill dragons? And, I mean, the result is a giant-ass spear gun. Like, is that really that inventive? Like, this
bastila?
mythical creature? Yeah, I have no idea what you
Please
said.
leave.
Featured in God of War 9, an Xbox 32 exclusive. But only in Japan.
This is
Throwing
way
that
dumb.
Microsoft money around.
Thanks, Bill Gates.
Yeah, I did think it was pretty funny. I was expecting like wildfire infused hand grenades or like I don't know.
explosions.
But yeah, he was like,
Here's this
We
siege
made a
weapon that
huge
exists in
ass
every
gun.
other medieval story ever. But we didn't have it before. And
yeah.
but thanks
Now
to
we
Qyburn
do.
and
This
all
is
of
going to stop. Yeah, Qyburn is really, really killing it, though. I mean, pound for pound, he's been very useful.
Yeah.
He's the idea guy, man.
The Imagineer of King's Landing.
Yeah.
It was just my imagination.
He's like a even more sick Willy Wonka.
That's true. That's not wrong.
He's just like got a bunch of those little birds following him around. Come with me.
And you'll see spears of your pure imagination.
Stab that man.
You know that song.
Crush
don't
that
you? Cersei, though, she has two more scenes that are really important. She's gonna torture Ilaria for a long time and will make her watch her daughter die and then rot in a cave.
Yeah.
That's more like it.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone did to me the things that Cersei had done to them, I would want to torture them the way Cersei's torturing other people.
Yeah.
Like Septu and Ella is somewhere just getting waterboarded every day. Yeah. She's just zero dark 30ing the shit out of some prison. And then, more importantly, Cersei meets with the Iron Bank, which is a very interesting wrinkle and a good dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. It also reminds me that your debts are always there. You can never... All the debts you have will never go away, though. The
But a
bank will
Lannister
find
always
you.
pays their debts.
I was really hoping that was the Deus Ex Machina that was going to save the final battle. Was Cersei is winning, and then the Iron Bank comes and is like, wait, you owe us money.
There's just
you can't afford this war.
All of Davos's old friends are just repo men for the Iron Bank. They're taking boats.
It's like the end scene of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. They just come in and start arresting
Yeah.
people, taking their shields and weapons.
But it's an interesting dynamic then that the Iron Bank will give your enemy money if you owe them. And so Cersei, like, this all of a sudden becomes a priority because she needs more help. And that's why she goes after Highgarden, because she knows it's a place that has that wealth that she needs. Also, speaking of, you can never run away from your loans, please donate to our Patreon because I have student debt. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. That was inappropriate.
This is the commercial episode. I feel like we sold out.
We did. This is after
Head
season
on,
6.
apply directly to the
Everybody
forehead.
bought in, and now we're just selling ad space. Only a few more episodes to go. Anything else in King's Landing? What else did we get out of King's Landing?
Oh, Cersei was kind of like dragging Dany through the mud and like spreading fear about her to all the people.
Oh yeah, she very much was like fear the
Yeah.
foreigner.
Yeah.
She brought Unsullied to our shores, the Dothraki scum.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the people were like, oh no.
If someone was like, hey, which side do you want to join? One side is all lame white people, and the other side has some fierce-ass warriors from an exotic land.
And dragons.
Like, why would I be like, yeah, Westeros, yeah, we want to keep it pure. That doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah. And I feel like it's pretty clear, like, Dany could just take King's Landing if she wanted.
Yeah.
And so other people have to see that.
Yeah.
She's trying to be strategic and like you said, King's Landing is like New York. Like, there's just very dense population. She's being respectful. But man, it'd be nice to see her just burn that shit to the ground. Although Cersei already did a good chunk of that herself.
Yeah, I mean, she's done a lot of the work. So
All right, let's roll the dice here. Do you guys want to end, or we have 2 more stories, both pretty quick.
Yeah, let's roll the dice and decide.
Riley, do you want to do Sam or the Brotherhood without banners?
Brotherhood.
The Brotherhood, quite small looking at this point. They all fit into one little
yeah,
cabin.
seriously.
Did you recognize pretty quickly that cabin was the cabin that we had already been to?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
They do a good. I mean, I think because we're watching these so quick too, they do. I think they do a good job of like, kind of keeping visual clarity with stuff because they do like the exact same shot of that cabin as when the Hound and Arya first see it, and that's honestly why
That's
I
cool.
thought of it because it was like that was just kind of stuck in my mind. Not that it was like so incredibly iconic, but it looks different enough from everything else that I kind of knew it. I was like, oh yeah, that's that guy and his daughter, and
And the fact that they can do that at night with snow there.
Right,
I feel
yeah.
like is really effective.
yeah,
Really
it's that
impressive.
that is really impressive to me because that was what 3 seasons ago, season
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty cool that they do that.
And I think I recognize it. I don't know, maybe you did, but knowing that I don't know if I I did re-binge before this season, but I wonder if I had straight not seen it in a few years. I still think I would have, maybe it would have taken me a few more minutes, but I would have jumped on that. But man, this is again a slow, we only get like 2 or 3 of these visits to these guys, and they're slow, but they feel good. It really feels like we get to marinate in these characters.
Yeah, and I think like also the Hound sees the vision in the flames, which we like. It's a weird thing because I was like, oh man, he saw it, and then I was like, oh yeah, there's a whole scene where Melisandre's like, yeah, that's mostly bullshit that I can do. Like, and so I was like, oh, I don't know exactly what this means, but like Thoros and Beric looked surprised enough that I was like, this is genuine.
Yeah.
Yes, you know what I mean. So
Yeah, I was
so
under the
that's
impression
cool.
that like most of the time it's genuine, but when she wants to, she can make people see
Right.
things when she needs to convince them.
Like, see things like, I'm going to make you see something so you'll kill your own daughter.
Yeah, that.
So good.
But yeah, I would say after this rewatch, I'll make a strong statement and say the Hound is probably my favorite character in Game of Thrones.
He's really good.
He's really
He's
cool.
unique enough and has a really strong arc, and it hasn't died yet.
Yeah.
And I have enjoyed every minute of his journey, and it's really believable and makes me feel every spectrum of emotion, and has one of the best fight scenes in the whole show. So
Well, and I think it's impossible to look at a character who gets too much screen time and like them as much as someone like this can come in and give you that infusion. But knowing what we know now, watching season 1 and just seeing what he is to that, it is very interesting to think, because it is very well, like that whole arc totally works. It's really well done. But yeah, I mean, he sees those visions and he buries the people and feels the need to do that. And it's interesting that he's ended up back here with these people and and where they're headed.
Yeah.
Yeah, his prayer or at the end before he buries them is like simultaneously comical and heartbreaking.
Yeah.
and,
Oh, it's so beautiful.
It's really good.
And I also like. I feel like Thoros and Barrick are like some of the most underserved characters in the show.
Yeah.
I just like I like the feeling when they're on screen. Like they're still really mysterious to me. I don't like fully understand anything that's really going on with them, but it's like it's just cool. I think that I think it's a really cool dynamic right now.
Those three are like one of the
that.
few characters who actually feel like they're actually friends.
Yeah.
Whereas I the only one I can think of is like maybe Arya and like Hot Pie.
Yeah.
No
They
one's really
genuinely
like
enjoy
friends.
each other.
It's
Yeah.
just,
No, that's true. I didn't think about it like that.
That's
but
the thing,
it's
like, because
totally-
Bronn is our favorite person to be around people, and he probably has some genuine ishness to his friendship, but it does come down to, like, in the end, survival and money.
But like Thoros and the Hound treat each other like shit, and Thoros just comes out and he's like digging his grave. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And you can just tell it means something to him, so he starts helping out.
Yeah.
Like
There's a purity.
that's cool.
Yeah, it is good.
On to Hogwarts, Hogwarts.
Yes.
Just something, please.
Man, I really
what-
wish
so-
you would have used an invisibility cloak to go into that restricted section.
I know. Like, they literally
I
call it
love
the
Walter
restricted
Frey
section.
comes out.
What are you doing in there, boy?
It's like the cat.
He's petting the pies that contain his sons.
No, he's Walder Frey's twin that was too much of a squib to lead the people, so he had to be a maester. But he failed out of maester school and had to stay and just keep cleaning it.
Or he's the ghost of Walder Frey, who is nearly headless because his throat's been slit.
Hey! I like it a
Just
lot.
smash it all together.
Perfect.
By the way, can I say the chains really are just sitting over the shelves? They are not
Yeah.
chaining the
We
books in.
talked
What's the
about
point of
that.
the mother chains?
We watched this episode together, and Riley was like, "Yeah, those chains are really just sitting there."
Maybe they're for pens.
they are.
Someone steals the pens.
There's giant quills attached to the end of them.
Make you
In case you want to change the ending to your favorite book.
Yeah, maybe they help organize. There probably is an answer for that. George is a pretty well thought out person, but it's a little annoying.
It's weird. Yeah.
It's weird.
So we get the Sam montage, the Karate Kid training montage, where
Yeah.
we see him scoop soup and scoop poop out in a transition, which Game of Thrones just loves to do.
They do a couple really good
Every
gross
end.
transitions with
Yeah.
Sam in these episodes.
Oh, yeah.
The other one, the
Yeah.
other one
Ugh.
is so gross.
At first, when they made that second transition with the cutting and the pus,
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah,
it cuts to that bowl, and I'm like, are they really cutting to John eating that shit? That's who I thought it was going to go to. I'm like, you can't do that with the main character. Like,
Ooh.
so it was just some random guy. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, good.
But yeah, so Sam is. I mean, it's funny because I feel like his story right now is so tropey. Like it's such a it's that total like going, the meeting with the goddess or whatever of like going and like learning and getting the things that you need to accomplish something later, and like there's just it's kind of fascinating. But I think
but it's fun while doing it, and he gets
no,
important
it's not
information.
bad. It's not
Yeah.
bad. I'm just saying it's one of those moments where it's like, yep, this is everyone's familiar
Still,
with
yeah.
this. If you've seen Rocky, you know what's happening right now, essentially, and like, but yeah, and then I think the kind of shock to me was that Jorah is there.
Oh, that's so. When his hand pops out, it's so awesome.
Yeah, that was really good, and I didn't realize at first, but then I was like, oh yeah, this is the same place that we have heard all the like that Shireen went when she was younger to help with her grayscale and all that, and yeah, he looks real gross.
Yeah.
He got real sick. Turns out
Yeah.
that's some bad you don't want.
You find out he has 6
Spreads
months till he's
fast.
pretty much a stone man.
Yeah,
And then another 10 years of that existence.
yeah.
They resolve this really quickly. A lot quicker
Yeah.
than I mean, I don't necessarily
I
think
think
it's a
they
bad
had to.
thing.
Like we
Yeah.
said, they almost had to. Like, I'm sure HBO would have loved this show to go on for, but if you're an actor and this has already been 8 to 10 years of your life, like,
Well, I mean, even as a viewer at this point, you're
Yeah.
like, I know this has to happen. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
let's move.
it's just hard because it is jarring because this is something that he would have been sick for a season and a half earlier.
Yeah.
And but I don't think that hindsight's 2020. I don't think you can go back and reorganize this in a perfect way. I think they did about as good as they could have.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the situation they put themselves in, not that there's like one big misstep that caused it. It was just it's where they're at.
And also, I think if you're prioritizing stories,
Yeah,
this one's lower on the list.
Yeah.
than a lot of-
like it's like
Yeah.
we're
It's
gonna
still good.
some
you still
moments
care,
of service.
but,
Yeah.
What's his face? I can't remember the actor's name for the life of me. Is the head
Horace Slughorn?
That's exactly
Yeah, 'cause-
that's what I know him as.
He's
too.
become
a lot of
headmaster
Harry
all
Potter
of a sudden.
things in this place. Yeah, he's cool. His conversations with Sam are really fun and kind of eye-opening for the world building of the Citadel.
Right.
Of being,
It makes sense for them to be so just like we think differently from everyone else.
yeah, he's like, the world was ending at this time. The world was ending at this time.
Yeah.
You think it's ending now? It's not going to.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, now I get why you're not. It's dumb because I've seen things you haven't, asshole. But
Yeah. All while doing a cadaver.
yeah,
Or just having Sam
He's
dictate
like,
things.
Can you
Like,
clean this
weigh
up? And there's
this.
just like this open face sandwich of a human being.
Yeah,
on the
how do
table.
you
Get out of
clean
this.
that up?
And Sam just follows him around. And what's the title of that book? He's like, it's just the worst title for a book of all time. It's like the history of this in this place in this.
Yeah.
There's something else with them. I forgot.
I mean, Sam steals a key from another maester, sneaks into the restricted section, is able to get the book where he can tell John about the dragon glass. That's important, right? Because dragon glass can kill
Yeah.
White Walkers, and Danny does give, after Tyrion prods it, like, hey, like it can't hurt us to let them mine dragon glass. She does allow him to start on that.
Yeah, I don't know what the purpose of this is. If it's just an Easter egg or if what it is. In that book that he's reading, there's a drawing of Tyrion's dagger that was used by the guy to assassinate Bran.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like very prominent.
Interesting.
Yeah, they, like,
I
leave it
didn't
open.
even realize that.
And I mean, in season 1, they talk about it a couple times how it's like there's only one of a kind. Like there's no other dagger that looks like this, and there it is, just drawn out. So I don't know if there's a
Do we
reason
know
for
where
that.
that is now?
No, I don't think
Okay,
we
yeah.
do.
I was gonna say I thought it was.
The Starks
Yeah.
would have had it. Roderick had it last that I saw.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Yeah. That's yeah. I didn't even pick up on that at all.
If they do try and put it in, that's gonna be really weird because it's like
Yeah.
they have to ask that same question, like, who the fuck has that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's just going to be a whole episode that just follows that dagger, like through 7 seasons of Game of Thrones. It's just like an hour of like from the dagger's perspective. It's like on the back of Arya's horse at some point for some reason, and then it falls into Thoros of Myr's
It's like
sleeping
rolling
bag.
It's
downhill.
like a Bud Light commercial.
Or our favorite product, an Xbox commercial. Anyways,
How do you fit an Xbox commercial into the Game of Thrones world, like Bud Light did for the Super Bowl? That's pretty impressive.
That was good.
Pretty good. We'll come up with something, Xbox. Don't worry. Thank you for your sponsorship. Donate to our Patreon. Hey, anyway,
Anything else with Sam while he was there?
I mean, I will say just the actual surgery.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
It's real gross.
oh, the agonizing feeling,
very
and
good,
just
yeah.
to know, like, methodically how much there was and how deep it, how much there was to peel off. The idea that he did it in one night is actually difficult for me, but
Right.
still, wow.
Yeah.
That pus,
I
though.
Sam is like starting to give less and less shit. I like that. He's like, I'm gonna break rules. I'm gonna specifically defy the headmaster. It's really good. He's Fred and Georging it.
Yeah, and he's like one of those characters that I feel like his progression has been spread out over all of these seasons.
Yeah.
But I feel like definitely looking back at season 1, it's like he's super different. Like he really does feel like a totally different character, and all of his growth feels very natural. Like it feels, and it's pretty good. I think they've done a really good job.
We last talked about it in season 5 when he just started being stronger, supporting John, being more vocal, caring, and we saw him regress a little bit when he went home, and we just and I think that was also telling for him, like to realize where he's at.
Yeah, that was good.
Ooh, that what a dude! A lot happened.
So much.
A lot goes down in Game of Thrones episode 7, seasons 1 through 4.
Nothing else? There are no other...
Well,
I
did
guess
you have any?
Jorah's on his way.
Yeah, George headed somewhere to
Danny,
Danny.
I assume.
Well, because at the beginning, it's in episode 1 when he's like, "Here she come, the Dragon Queen," and then by the end, like she's here, and Sam, the Maesters would probably know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Any other important notes, moments, thoughts? Xbox games that we forgot?
I think we named all of them.
Well, the
I
exclusives.
need a remaster of Ninja Gaiden 2 stat, alright? Favor for a favor, Bill. Come on.
It's so funny. No one ever associates Bill Gates with Xbox,
Oh yeah. No.
even though he's so closely tied to Microsoft. Anyway, okay, who's the MVP? What did you just thoroughly enjoy watching during episodes 1 through 3 of episode 7 of Game of Thrones. Based on Ice's Song of Ice and Fire by George R. R. Martin.
I think John's stuff was all really interesting, and I think that he's like making big moves. And
First time that's been said on this show.
yeah, but yeah, I think that he's the only one that really sees like the severity of what's happening, and so he's trying to like single-handedly get everyone prepared for it. And so I think that's kind of cool to see.
Yeah, him and Sam are kind of in the same boat that way of just not giving a
Yeah.
shit about anyone's stuff.
And it's funny because, like, as an audience too, because we've seen everything, like, they're the characters that I feel like we can agree with the most because we're like, yeah, they've seen the craziest shit. Listen, hey, listen, I saw the crazy shit that they saw too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of an interesting.
What do you think about John and Danny's dynamic? We talked about that first scene where they interact and are kind of bickering, but the second one, they have this slight mutual understanding, and this is where she empathizes a little bit, but I found their back and forth to actually work quite well.
Yeah, yeah, I think it does work well. And
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to go all in on this fan theory that we put forth at the beginning of this of
The dick theory?
why Danny is having a difficult time, John doesn't know many things. The things he does know
But he is a proper
could
lover.
save the Seven Kingdoms.
And they're also siblings, half siblings.
Uncle and
Aunt
aunt.
and or no, aunt and
What?
aunt and nephew.
Aunt and nephew.
yeah.
Aunt and nephew.
They're aunt and uncle.
Okay, yeah,
They were married before.
they were married as infants.
So,
Uncle John and Aunt Danny.
I mean, it would be the
Yeah.
tamest incest we've seen to this point, I feel like. So,
But yeah, with Tyrion messing things up, maybe Danny would have had a good idea or two if she had a little help downstairs.
yeah.
I mean, Tyrion's there, yeah. I mean,
Okay, anyway. All right. He doesn't have the tongue of a lord, all right?
Doesn't
of a lord?
Isn't that what what's her
I can't
bucket
remember
says?
what
I don't remember her saying a
I
tongue of
don't
a lord.
remember.
Is that what lords do for the ladies? You know nothing, Jon Snow.
No.
Can we just stay in this cave forever?
Oh,
She's back.
No, it sounds like I brought someone.
God. You're my first guest.
Rose Leslie, ladies and gentlemen. Also excellent in season 1 of Downton Abbey. Okay. Well,
Oh, I will say my two things going forward. John and Danny are gonna do it at some point,
We're gonna
and
do
then
the
she's
thing.
gonna make better decisions. And then Arya is gonna continue down the Bill Shakes road and continue to have Shakespeare-inspired vengeance on everyone she encounters. Thank you.
do you have any thoughts going forward? Any battles, characters, sexes that you're looking forward to?
Are you looking forward to any other people having sex?
That's what I was asking.
I was confused. It just sounded like, never mind. It sounded like a gender question.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to see Arya get to Winterfell. Maybe if she does, I don't know. At this point, she hasn't gone anywhere with her family, so
She's just chilling. in the
she's
Wandering
been a lot of
around.
places, just not with her fam. So, yeah, I think that will be a really cool reunion because I feel like she'll actually have an emotional reaction, unlike Bran. So it'll be better.
I'm back. I was just hanging with the trees for a little while.
I'm gonna stay by this tree.
Don't ask me about season 5. I was just watching you. Sorry about that. What's he gonna say when he sees Arya? Remember the time when that blind chick beat the shit out of you?
Remember when you were blind?
Remember when Serial Pharrell died?
Oh, God.
Oh.
John, you got stabbed a lot. What the fuck was that?
And then you were just like off air for a little bit. What happened, dude?
It was just static every time I went to your tree branch.
He has them labeled with like little tags. Like John.
It's like ETing the branches.
I want to get Cersei and him in a room together. She would be so frustrated. I'm sorry about your 3 children. I read Tommen's mind as he fell to the ground. He was thinking, where the hell is Sir Pounce? Marjorie stopped touching my pee-pee. And now she's dead.
As he fell from the window.
Ah, this is all Mom's fault. Oh, the tower's
On
taller
his
than
way
I thought.
down, where's Sir Pounce?
He just falls out and goes, Gucci.
Oh, we just get... Bran just shows up with everyone and just tells them their worst possible memory.
Bran is the voice inside your head that tells you can't do things.
Oh. Yeah.
Man, can we give a shout out to Mira for dragging his dull ass?
What a thankless
so
character
far.
right now.
Seriously.
All right. Cool beans. Hey, join us next time for more Xbox jokes. I'm sorry. Season 7, episodes 4 and 5.
Next episode, we're going to be ripping into the Ouya pretty hard. So
Oh my
get
goodness,
ready.
Wow.
I don't know what
I don't know what that means.
That is obscure.
If you want the extended version of this podcast, download Xbox Gold. Subscribe. Only $10.99 a month or $50 for the entire year. This has been a message from Xbox One. Support this Patreon. And we'll see you next week on the Rewatchers on the Wall.
Okay, bye.
Really softly.
You.
You can kill that.
Like they're just getting their ass beat by a demon, and they're just like, "You look lovely today."
That demon goes home and he is miserable. He doesn't have a great home life.
Oh, this demon must have subscribed to my Patreon. Oh, gosh. Yeah, man.